want you to hit me as hard as you can.
Welcome back to another edition of The Best Movie You Never Saw, and this week we're taking a look at George Clooney's one effort to really become an action star, The Peacemaker. When 9 nuclear warheads are stolen, a White House nuclear expert, played by Nicole Kidman, and a Special Forces operative, played by Clooney himself, team up to avert a terrorist attack and recover the arsenal before it's too late.
I'm not afraid of the man who wants 10 nuclear weapons, Colonel. I'm terrified of the man who only wants one.
Now, this was directed by Mimi Leder, who would end up becoming famous for directing many episodes of The Leftovers, and it has a great score by Hans Zimmer. Now, The Peacemaker is arguably most famous for being the first Dreamworks SKG release. Tom Clancy-style techno-thriller, it was an offbeat choice to launch the studio, which was famously founded by Jeffrey Katzenberg, David Geffen, and Steven Spielberg, with the follow-ups being Mouse Hunt and Amistad, two things which were seemingly more in their wheelhouse. Back in the fall of 1997, this movie got a fair share of press due to it being star George Clooney's first real action film. At this point, he was best known for ER, with him previously having starred in Robert Rodriguez and Quentin Tarantino's From Dusk Till Dawn, plus the infamous Batman and Robin, and many saw this as a test of his big screen mettle.
This is why Superman works alone.
Batman and Robin made money, but it was critically reviled, and From Dusk Till Dawn, sure, it did well, but also Quentin Tarantino was red hot at the moment.
You know, it's funny.
It would co-star Nicole Kidman, who at this point was still best known for being Mrs. Tom Cruise, although she had recently won much acclaim for Gus Van Sant's To Die For. It was also quite notable for being a rare example of an action flick helmed by a woman, in this case, ER director Mimi Leder, who had already had a great relationship with George Clooney at this point, although sadly, in the 20 years since it's come out, female-directed action thrillers are still pretty rare. Now, nobody expected The Peacemaker to really shake up the movie business all that much. Jeffrey Katzenberg, being quoted in The Men Who Would Be Kings by Nicole Laporte, which is a great memoir about DreamWorks films, said, "First one in, first one out. It's not like we had a choice of 20 things and picked this because it's some statement or something."
This is your plan?
Yep.
This is your big plan?
This is my plan.
Indeed, The Peacemaker opened to mixed reviews and underperformed in North America, only grossing about $41 million, which, if you figure in the still lucrative TV and video rentals, wasn't too bad. This movie wasn't a disaster. It did better overseas, eventually topping out at about $110 million worldwide, which, on a $50 million budget, meant it just about broke even. In the years since, however, it's mostly been forgotten and is often seen as a footnote in both George Clooney and Nicole Kidman's careers. But The Peacemaker deserves a second look.
Thank you very much.
That's just an opinion.
It's funny how time often has a way of improving certain movies. I was 16 when The Peacemaker hit theaters and didn't actually catch up with it until it hit Blockbuster Video. I remember quite liking it back then, but also thinking it was something of a generic actioner, not quite as good as the ones Jerry Bruckheimer and Joel Silver were still cranking out regularly. Oh, how times have changed, with movies of this ilk being unapologetically R-rated and geared towards adult audiences largely extinct.
Those fuckers you can shoot!
Action movies nowadays are dominated by superheroes, while more grounded attempts largely fly under the radars, with some exceptions. Even something like the John Wick trilogy owes more than a little to the superhero movie revolution, and legit, almost plausible thrillers like this rarely get made. Thus, The Peacemaker, when viewed now, stands up as a pretty solid movie. It has a very slow build-up, and Clooney himself doesn't make an entry into the film until about 25 minutes in, but the serious approach works. Director Mimi Leder takes her time showing us the nuclear heist and its fallout, with Marcel Lures' villain surprisingly thought out, even if he's a bit of a clone of Ed Harris in The Rock, a movie whose style clearly influenced this one in a big way.
Will not take action without authorization.
Now, what do you think I am, some gung-ho, stupid son of a bitch?
While not a non-stop actioner, there are also some really good set pieces, such as a nifty and violent car chase through Dagestan and a brilliant helicopter assault on the terrorists. Clooney actually makes for a solid action hero, even if it's a genre he hasn't pursued since, with him often citing a back injury that he suffered while making Syriana as the reason he never really got into action movies. He's still got some of his ER era tics, such as the smart alecky way he talks, and that annoying thing he did back in the 90s where he would often bob his head up and down while he talked with his eyes peering up. It was this kind of cool guy thing that he did.
Good guys, it's us. We chase the bad guys, and they don't wear black hats.
These bad habits were broken when he started working with Steven Soderbergh, who really whipped him into shape as an actor, it has to be said. But even still, he's a pretty dynamic hero. Likewise, Nicole Kidman suits her part as the brainy nuclear expert, and any romantic entanglement between the two is totally avoided until the very end. The Peacemaker also has an incredible score by Hans Zimmer, one of his best from that era. One thing I noticed a couple years later was how the end of the car chase theme when Clooney and Kidman leap away from the explosion predated a very similar sounding main theme for Danny Elfman's Planet of the Apes score, although maybe this is a coincidence.
Go, 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 go!
It's worth noting that Leader, who never directed a film this scale before, really aces the action scenes. After this, she went on to direct the highly successful Deep Impact before stumbling commercially with Pay It Forward, a movie that was bad, but not bad enough that she deserved the movie jail purgatory she found herself in. Luckily, she would bounce back as a highly sought-after TV director thanks to her work on The Leftovers being especially critically acclaimed. I'd love to see her tackle another big movie like this one day. The pacing in The Peacemaker is really spot on, and I love the slow build-up that never really clues you into the fact that this is an all-out action flick until the mayhem starts. Now, the big action moment in this is the car chase, and the prelude to this is really cool. Clooney's character is totally disarming with his charm at first, but in the scene, he drops his charm like a hot potato to start brutally interrogating a suspected arms dealer while the brainy Nicole Kidman panics, while the security is about to close in on them.
Hi, hang on. All right, Hans. We'll do it your way. How's the backhand? Password. Hasselhoff. Hasselhoff.
It's a nail-biting prelude to the car chase and more evidence that Letter really had the formula down for a movie like this. It's too bad that she didn't get to pursue the genre. Now, of course, The Peacemaker is available on DVD, Blu-ray, and most streaming services, so it's pretty easy to catch. I wouldn't say that the movie is in the same league as many 90s classics like The Rock, but as far as those movies' clones go, and there are quite a few, such as the awful Chill Factor, notably trying to blend it with Speed, this is probably the best of the bunch. It holds up as a nifty action thriller and is an intriguing look at what George Clooney would have been like had he gone the all-out action hero route.
For once you could say something nice.
Thank you for watching The Best Movie You Never Saw. If you like what you see, please subscribe to the JoBlo Videos channel, tell your friends who like this sort of content, and turn on the bell to receive notifications for all of our latest videos. We're an independent company, and we appreciate all your support.